but I'll just go over some basic meditation and benefit everyone. Okay, well, I hope everybody's relaxed and sitting comfortably. Many of you already know how this approach goes. Many of you know the provisional things we can apply: joyful effort, devotion, joy. But if you're deeper into the practice, then you can really just sit here without any effort. And we may notice some labeling going on as to what this experience may be. For example, you may associate these labels of sadness or anxiety or happiness, excitement, whatever you feel in this presence, whatever's there. Let's not even label it. Just sit with whatever's here in a sort of energetic sense. Just feel the energy of it and let it be. Particularly if you feel awkward or uncomfortable, these are great to rest with. Just by us sitting with our present state, rather than reacting on it, suppressing it, glorifying it, just by sitting with it, the knowingness, we rest in the knowingness. Next time something like that pops up, one of our mood swings, or maybe one of our sort of old habits, our reactionary tendencies, or if we can just sit with our emotions for a moment, sit with our thinking mind for a moment, then when we're out there throughout the day, we actually have a little bit of a wider point of view now. We're not caught up in the waves of these emotions and these habits because we sort of zoom out. And that's why I say it's up to you. Are you in the anxiety, in the thinking, or are you in the cognizance, the awareness that holds all the thinking? It holds all the sounds and the feelings. Everything we see is just this awareness, unchanged by any of it. Just like a computer screen can display anything, unaffected, but our awareness, our mind is like that. So are we in the displays or are we in the actual basis or the screen? You see? Any questions, comments?
The difference between a display and a screen.
Say again?
What's the difference between a display and a screen?
Well, let's take a cycle. Let's say we have a habit of getting frustrated or getting tense and having anxiety. Well, that's like the movie that plays on your cell phone screen, but the awareness is the screen itself. You see? And In fact, everything we're seeing right now, everything we're hearing, there's the field of our awareness, right? So as we sit here, we rest in that. When we really start to investigate this, we always emphasize find this out on your own. Don't turn it into a belief. And that's why I love practicing with so many of you because you're actually in your own lab, being your own scientist, starting to understand your own mind. And as I say, that is the highest form of activism. It's the truly revolutionary thing to do, the one that's not televised. Because our minds are so susceptible, particularly when people out there know your mind more than you do. And so we have things out there that are trying to hack into our subconscious, into our hearts, into our thoughts. And they do a great job of that, actually. There's a lot of money each year invested into hacking people's minds. It's completely perverted. I always say I'd rather get smacked in the head than have somebody try to get in my mind. And that's why I try to set clear boundaries for the group too, just guidelines that say, let's all stay in our own labs. We don't need to psychoanalyze one another. But perhaps I'm drifting a little bit there. Well, advertising, right? We know from all the way back, like Edward Bernays was hiring cheerleaders to smoke in the Macy's parade in the 20s. And then they printed these pictures of the cheerleaders, or the models, excuse me, smoking cigarettes, and then doubled their cigarette sales because women did not smoke because it was unladylike. Yeah, oh, you know that. Yes, very good. So you know how deep and perverted it can get. To me, I think we can, with compassion and peace, we can denounce things. In fact, a lot of stuff that's going on out there in the world, we can't do much about it. The only thing you can do is put your flag in the ground and say this is wrong. We've been physically stopped from stopping wars, right? We've been completely disabled and disempowered as a culture and as a people, and that's why you know I love these quotes like Malcolm X says when he says the greatest mistake of the movement was that we tried to move a sleeping people. First, the people need to wake up. And that's the absolute truth. Even to study science, I think we need to know our own minds. How can we study a reality when we don't know what we're studying it with and how our mind is affecting this reality, right? So rather than speculate about how reality is created, although Dzogchen does get into that, at first we can notice that how our mind is actually within reality. So I love this example of, well, the eyes can only see 2D, right? And our mind renders everything in 3D. So that right there is clear proof that our mind is involved in every object. Even when you look at the stars and the sun, your mind's sort of rendering that into 3D. And colors, everything's doing much more than that. Unfortunately, I'm not yet at the level I want to be with understanding modern psychology, but I'm getting there because it's interesting. I'm not trying to sort of study it to find answers. It's more amazing to me how much it complements Dzogchen. So these are little cognitive proofs, intellectual, not anyway, intellectual proofs that we can say, well, yeah, my mind is involved in everything, everything. And so you can cut just like a dream. If we're in a dream right now, your mind is making the walls, it's making the floor, it's making five dogs, it's making your body, it's even making smells and things you can feel in a dream, right? So the mind is everywhere. If the dreamer all of a sudden was like, wait a minute, who's this mind that's making me in this whole world? And all of a sudden the dreamer was able to recognize the actual mind that's making the dream. This mind would be everywhere, permeating everything. It wouldn't have a reference point. Yeah? Making sense?
When you say it wouldn't have a reference point, what does that mean? Does that mean that the dreamer is sort of not the center of the dream? And I'm assuming when you say dreamer, you're talking about the dream and the dreamer as a metaphor for reality, right? So maybe you could help me understand with a few words on those topics, maybe.
Well, I want you to actually go there with me. Let's go there together, everybody who wants to, including those folks watching. Like and subscribe. I'm just kidding. This new Jamba Juice. I'm gonna stop.
You got sponsored by Jamba Juice?
Yeah. No, no, no. We got Jumix. Jumex. Sorry. Juice Mexican. I think that's the peach nectar. Is sponsoring our Sid today. Please, please go visit them at www.capitalismrules.com. And surprisingly, they're only $9 a can. Great deal. And if you type in Doway, I think you actually get 3.3% off. Yeah. So probably around $8.60 only for a can. Okay. I watched the other video, and I realized how often I detour into a dad joke. But anyway, so now that I've completely sidetracked your question,
I can repeat it if you'd like.
no, I was gonna suggest that we go into the dream analogy, sort of really feel out this idea that you're in a dream right now, right? Where would the mind of the dreamer be? Would it have a reference point? Hmm. How you feeling over there?
Would be sometimes would be centered on the self, and other times I've had dreams where it was just stuff happening and I wasn't even there.
Oh no, you're confused. Sorry, that sounds. I'm not trying to be mean.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
it's uh, definitely in dreams. We usually feel like we're in the body, like we're really there. Like my dogs kick their legs, right? They're convinced they're there. So that it's not a question about that. We're inventing a new scenario where the dreamer recognizes the mind that's having the dream. Not we're not using the normal experience of a dream all the way. We're not using that metaphor to its purest form right now. We're imagining a new scenario, right?
yeah. For for the video, do you want to maybe guide us through it, like almost like a meditation? Would that maybe help?
Well, that's what I was just doing. I really want you to sit here
Hmm.
and pretend that you're in a dream right now. I've been there. I'm enjoying this dream dialogue we're having. Pretending now. Okay. No, don't close the eyes. No, because you're in your dream. There's a whole world around you.
Okay, so I have my eyes open.
You know, it might be better to keep the mic off if you're comfortable. Keep the mic open so that we can speak back and forth, okay?
Sounds good.
So I'm just a character in your dream right now. You're a character in my dream right now. And there's a whole background here that we're creating and everything, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
How
Yeah.
convinced are you of your pretend analogy right now? How convinced are you?
Uh, 20%.
20%? Huh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 20% is the number I said too.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry about that. I didn't mean to. Never mind. But so we're almost there, right? We're in good enough in this pretend sort of metaphor.
Yeah.
So let's all take a moment more to get into it, maybe up to 25%. So everybody, imagine that you're in a dream right now. You're in your dream body right now. You're dreaming of whatever your room looks like, whatever sounds, feelings, temperature, all that. You're dreaming it. Don't have thoughts like I'm dreaming this. No, just sit here and sort of imagine it to be like a dream.
Hmm.
Don't try to fly. Just just sit here. Wait, we're almost there. We're at like 22%. Let's go up a little bit more. Now, where would the mind of the dreamer be? Don't answer that. Look for it.
Hmm.
Yeah. Where would the mind of the dreamer be? So you tell me.
Uh, Bad question because everything is the dreamer.
Huh?
Everything is the dreamer because
Where would the
everything.
yeah, is it the mind of the dreamer, right?
Yeah, because if I'm sitting here and this is a dream and I'm the dream character and I'm looking out of the dream character's eyes, then everything that I'm feeling, seeing, and experiencing in that metaphor is happening in the mind of the dreamer. So either the dreamer
But
is
let's find
persist.
that. Let's find
Hmm,
that mind that's here right now. Did you find it?
I think so. I'm, I'm
Okay,
I'm
sorry.
here.
Keep going. Keep going.
I'm here. And if I'm over here and the dreamer is the one who's having the dream, then wouldn't it be the dreamer who's looking out of the eyes of the character?
No. When you're in a dream, your body's laying in a bed.
But this isn't this can't be a dream because this is real and it persists. If I stub my toe,
I'm
then
asking you to play pretend with me.
okay. So continuing to play pretend. I'm pretending like I am somewhere sleeping in a bed
No,
and I'm having a dream that I'm here in my chair at my desk talking to you over Jitsi.
pretty cool dream.
Yeah, it's not the worst dream. Yeah. But
So
then now what? So
yeah.
if it's a dream, now what? So I
Now
mean,
Now
Hmm.
look for the actual texture of the mind. Is like where is the actual cognition that's having the dream, that's manufacturing this dream?
What should that feel like? I don't know what to look for.
I don't know either. Just look for it.
Okay. So,
They call it clear light.
well, I can see the thoughts in my mind. I can feel them. I can hear those thoughts in my mind. They're whizzing about. There's small reflexes. All of that stuff is happening, and I'm experiencing it.
Isn't there a field of cognition that the whole dream is happening within? It's
Yeah.
almost like a sphere that's filled with cognition,
Yeah,
and the
definitely.
dream happens within that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's usually I call that my consciousness or my mind.
Ah, yeah, whatever words. But I'm trying to like I think you and I are easily on the same page. Don't get me wrong, but I'm trying to explicitly come to the conclusion that you and I are on the same page. So, if we're in this sphere right now
Hmm.
and there's cognition everywhere, permeating everything, where is
Yes.
that cognition at?
Oh, I mean, I know that saying the brain is a possible answer. So I'm
Right?
gonna
But
say
you
the
can look for the no, no, no. In our dream metaphor, man, you keep going away from the dream pretend game.
okay, okay. So if that's the case, I'm just
Look how
everything
much
is
you
just
this. Why do you trust this thinking mind of yours? Look how much it throws you off.
right, because the thinking mind itself is just part of the dream then, if I
Yeah,
understand
it's
correctly.
happening within the dream, but we're still in the dream character here. Where would the mind of the dreamer be? I'm not asking you hypothetical or modern scientific conventions on where mind is and all that stuff. That has nothing to do with it right now. I'm asking you, where is the actual cognition that's having this dream?
They're all around me.
Huh.
And all of my thoughts are happening inside
Oh, why
the
were we
cognition.
thoughts? Why we keep talking about thoughts?
Hmm.
You don't really have any thoughts in a dream. Your
Hmm.
dream character doesn't really have any thoughts. It's more like it has a feel. Like, I feel scared right now. I feel like doing this. I don't know. Do you guys notice thoughts in a dream character? Maybe we can explore that. That would be kind of cool. But I feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again. You're going back to your analysis about this. I'm asking you to actually sit here with me and pretend like this is a dream, and then
Hmm.
look for the cognition that's having the dream.
Okay, I'm looking for the cognition. This I'm gonna stop assuming it's about thoughts or something I know. I'm just looking at the cognition.
Just look. Where would the cognition be that's having the whole dream?
Hmm.
Isn't it like space? This cognition, like space itself.
Like it underlies everything.
Yeah, like a basis, right? That's why they call it Shi in Tibetan or
Hmm.
Dharmakaya is the basis. So now understanding more or no?
Sort of. I see that the thoughts have to
Not
exist on top.
understanding. Are you seeing? Are you seeing it? Are you seeing it?
Yes. Yeah, it's
Okay.
not just a cognitive thing. It's like I can like it's a visceral feeling of yes, there's space here, and that space is filled with experience. So it's not just
Hmm.
conceptual. It's like I can use a point in that space as a reference point. for example?
You can't find a reference point.
Because the
Where's the
reference itself would
that
be
would be like your character in the dream saying where's trying to find a reference point, right?
right. So if I hold my finger out and I'm looking at where my finger is pointing,
Yes.
that's inside there's a space-like quality in which the finger exists. But then, am I not pointing at a point in space?
If I'm pointing if I'm pointing like this, my hand, my finger, everything is still within space.
Hmm. Hmm.
So the less you think about what you just saw, the better.
Why is that?
Because your thinking defines what you see and molds it. That's why people are so interested in your mind. They want to mold your reality. Last thing they want you to do is be a free thinker and mold it yourself. Then you'll end up creating pure lands, in my opinion. But many of us have a subscription to this sort of collective reality that, well, I think, I get a little bit mystical and a little bit spooky maybe with my beliefs because I feel like a lot of folks came here willingly to help. So it's not like you were unwise and came back to this dysfunctional collective. Um, in my opinion, some of the hearts and some of the depth of compassion that we see here in our world, uh, we're right there. Heaven is here, but the more we delude ourselves, we cannot see that. Uh, can I share a story with you guys about what happened today? Okay. Well, uh, my neighbor has a dog. Has two dogs. The people not too far away from me, and one of them is just Basil. He's like a little bit more of a floppier, funnier in a way of like silliness. Little Bear. Many of you know Little Bear. Um, so he's still young, like a puppy. So he's very very goofy and friendly. And him and Big Dorje, my big guy over here, they're like best friends because I take Dorje for walks over there. So anyway, little Basil got hit by a truck, and thankfully he's okay. I'll tell you now, he's okay. But he did get injured, and when I came over there, Basil came running up to the car, jumped on it like this, and Dorje is over 130 pounds. He just put his whole like body over him, and I felt this love that even myself, I was like, holy crap. Like these dogs love each other. They are friends, you know? And Basil started to pee even, and Basil just put his head down like, yeah, I hurt myself, And jeez, I'm even tearing up now. Um, it was just I felt this subtle, powerful love. I was like, this dog just taught me that love gets even more powerful. You know, uh, it was a magical moment. Basil's okay, but just the way that Dorje showered him with that compassion, and that's why I'm so against animal abuse and how we really uh, we underestimate them. I don't think this is a thing that's always happened. It's more of a modern busyness, distraction, greed, and so we totally abuse the animals. And I could tell you about ancient civilizations that ceremonially buried their cows and their dogs, um, like the Bundarians. And Dogs have been revered throughout history in a completely obvious way. There's so many records of that. But now we just sort of losing track of that heart, a little bit sometimes in the busyness. So anyway, just to share with you all about how even the dogs, this. And when I looked at it, when I saw it, I felt this love, this tender, open, very soft love. Uh, I felt it throughout the day, that it's sort of there. And I was like, I can't create it. I don't want to create this love. I want to rest into it because it seems like part of that wisdom, compassion, that mind of ours. We in Dzogchen we settle into our natural Buddhahood that's here right now. So if you're not feeling like a Buddha, why not? Like really question yourself, like why am I not a Buddha? And we don't need to get into hierarchies, politics, all this ego stuff, but just to feel complete, to feel perfect, to feel okay with yourself, to feel well enough with what you are. That's Dzogchen. Which sins? Which sins are here with you right now? Are you masturbating as you speak to me? No, thank goodness. That'd be kind of awkward. Wow. Some days the funny keeps on rolling. Wow. Yeah, that's a Judeo-Christian overlay. You know, well, if you murdered somebody, that could be a significant hindrance for you to realize your own perfection. Um, that's why all religions and paths start out with these vows, because before you get to this point of realizing the great perfection, uh, you can't realize your awareness if you're feeling guilty and shameful about your actions. See, a lot of times we get stuck in the shame and the regret of our own actions, and that right there puts a damper on your perfection. That's why really conduct, skillful means, compassion is such a strong part of Dzogchen. If as long as you're in line with your compassion, there won't be any problems. It's like anarchy. True anarchy means we're conscious that we don't murder somebody, we don't just kill innocents. We know that. We don't need a law to tell us not to kill. We know we're conscious of that. We're wise on that. You see? So just like that, Buddhahood is assuming that you already tuned into your compassion. Now, I would say that you did murder somebody. Most likely in one of your past lives, you probably did. And you're murdering sentient beings right now. As you breathe in air, you're murdering many people. Uh, Pretty bad. There's a genocide going on with each breath. But the fact is that our mind labels these things. If it's a person, it's more significant than a bug you accidentally stepped on, right? So we have these labels where we become not only anthropocentric, but we become sort of like sizeists. We're only respecting life that's a certain size, right? And that's why I start to challenge myself to feel tender about even the trash you're throwing away, even the desk when you put your hand on it. Like this is all compassionate energy, and we can actually begin to feel that. That's why a lot of people feel like objects have personality, like their car has a personality. It does. It's all living intelligence. It's all consciousness, and it's beautiful like that. It's all mind, right? So I don't know what I was talking about, but hopefully it helps.
Well, you left me hanging, pointing that finger, and I don't know what I was pointing that finger at.
I already answered that part. Remember?
So if what I'm pointing at is in the dream,
It's
Then,
within space. We can consider. Let's say I'm sleeping right now, and the whole dream is sort of happening. Let's assume, modern conventions. Let's say it's all happening within my mind. So within my head, right? So
yeah,
the dream character doesn't feel that way though. The dream character feels like, oh, I'm in this. Da, 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 da. So where's your head at this point, right?
yeah, I'm
Imagine
not.
this whole world is in your head while you're laying on a pillow with three dogs on your left side, and it's becoming numb. And never mind. Go ahead.
Yes, yes, yep. I'm imagining. Well, I mean, there's also the brain in a jar way of looking at it. I guess is what I'm actually doing. Is there's something that's doing the thinking,
Are
and
you back in the dream now, or no?
yeah, I'm back in the dream.
Well, there's no one doing any thinking. Where? How
So,
are you defining thinking right now?
so any phenomena, so broadest way possible.
Okay, all right. So the lucid acts of consciousness, we can call those thinking. Yes. 1 second. You could say the dreamer is inhabiting this fem, phenomenological field. Yeah, sort of. Yeah, permeating it. So go ahead. Yeah, you wanted to continue?
Yeah.
Is that
So the phenomenological field. So there's the field, and I guess we're calling the field space, right?
Yep. And if you follow physics at all, the Higgs boson field can be interesting to look at, and these various fields, the field of um, everything basically, where they have this. I forget all the specific names right now, but they posit this from nothing comes everything idea. Just like when you're dreaming and sleeping, you can dream of anything, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So
Wait,
there's
wait, wait. And let's just pause here because that's a highly contended point that from nothing comes everything. How could that ever? That used to be and maybe still is. It's a sort of fallacy, right? But just look at the dream analogy. Everything can come to you in a dream. Everything can come from that nothing. Just cognition.
because it's just cognition, because in a dream there are no rules, so things can arise without a reason. Is that what you're saying?
Well, the cognition itself has the potential to dream up any world. I could dream Egypt. I could dream I'm in uh, the desert or an ocean, right? So
Hmm.
within this nothingness hides the potential to create anything.
So it's almost like the Matrix.
Yeah.
Like I'm basically the dreamer is plugged into some sort of simulation that's being cooked up, and that simulation, anything can happen in that simulation at any time, and then the simulation can just justify it later.
Well, now you're looking at a more technical point of view, which I really like. Like I think you can discover glitches in this thing and everything. But anyway, I'm just trying to right now we're only concerned with recognizing the actual electricity sort of that creates what you see on a computer. Like for example, in a computer, the software that pops up, the movies that you play, everything, even all those cat videos that you're watching. But everything has this sort of electricity. It has this the programming's at work, right? And it's making all this stuff happen. Well, just like that, there's a cognition when you're having a dream that's making this whole reality happen. Everything you can even dream a computer. So now, though, as we sit here right now, and we look for awareness, isn't it just like that mind of a dreamer? Isn't there a cognizance everywhere? Yes or no?
Because I can, anything I experience happens within cognizance.
No, I'm asking you, as you sit here with your eyes open right now, pretending there's a dreamer, isn't there, if we come back to reality now, isn't awareness just like that? Isn't it just like the mind of the dreamer?
It sort of is, because I'm
Wait,
still
wait, stop there.
experiencing.
God dang it. Dang it, Bobby.
I'll stop there.
No more thinking. Stop there. So it sort of is. I'll take that. So it sort of is. Now, is it clear light? Is there a clear light?
What is this clear light that
No, no, no.
you're?
Look with your eyes open. You just said there's awareness. Is it? Does it have a clear light to it?
The awareness is clear.
Yeah. So it has a clarity to it.
Yeah, it's like
Ooh.
there's no dust on my windshields. My windshields just came out of the car wash,
Oh, very good. Like a
and I can.
window. By golly, I think you got it. You just recognized uh, what they call usao, the clarity of your mind, which is aware. It's aware. It has cognition and it's empty. So just like a mirror has the ability to reflect, that's your sort of cognition. But anything that it reflects doesn't define its existence. Doesn't alter the mirror. Your awareness is like that. It reflects just like in a dream. You have a lucid sort of intelligence, the subtle energy body. There's a cognizance there that creates this reality. That's why it's great to do lucid dreaming. It really complements Dzogchen because I feel like you begin to see. Don't be convinced that you gotta tread lightly in Dzogchen all the time. Always come back to effortlessness. Always come back to ineffability. See, that's why I sort of interrupted you a little bit there because you don't want to leave ineffability. We're just using words right now to point to stuff. And there's that some people out there that they divide schools over just words, semantics. I call them the pedantic semantics. No, I'm just kidding.
It's a
But
great name.
but really, over all these words, when the words mean nothing compared to what we're pointing at. Yeah, that might be a good name for a band. I don't know.
What's what is ineffability? And effortlessness, I think, is easier to understand. But
Yeah.
what is ineffability?
Well, ineffability is exactly what I just asked you to sort of do with me here. Um, where, sorry, Yuri, hold on, one sec. When we were resting here, and I asked you to look at awareness and not go into your thinking about it, leave it ineffable. Yeah,
So
that's correlated with
ineffable.
this idea of the I don't know mind.
So ineffable means too great or extreme to be expressed or described in words. If
Well,
I Google that.
greatness and extreme, those are just those are concepts being applied to the concept list. Even the concept, calling it the concept list, right? So eventually, the thinking mind, which is doing all this conceptualizing, falls into awareness. They say sometimes like a vase breaks, and the space within the vase meets the space outside of the vase. So when the thinking mind stops intruding so much, that's why it's important in Dzogchen not to get caught up in your thinking so much, not to intellectualize. Thoughts are very, very powerful. They can be very consuming. And the four samayas of Dzogchen are really great actually because if you can remember those, it helps you come back to your natural mind, your open mind, your present mind. That's always sort of in a state of receptivity and at the same time responsiveness, a co-emergent responsiveness. Just like when you look in the mirror and you see a reflection immediately. Your mind is doing that, but it's weaving together in a way on various cognitive levels that go from gross to subtle or subtle to gross. Either way you want to look at it. But it has to go from subtle to gross. You know, your awareness nature, the true nature of your mind is subtle. It's clear light, it's like space, it's open, it's purely present. And any cognition within that is like a cloud within the sky. So your thinking can feel a little bit more dense, especially when we're really into our thinking. It can feel dense. So there we can remember the samaya of openness. We're caught up in the past or in the future, or even over analyzing the present. We can come back to presence. Presence is sort of outside of those sort of conditions of time. And when we're feeling very dualistic, like, oh, this is my awareness. Well, now you're setting up a duality. So you just rest in oneness, in a sense of oneness, just like in the dream. The character, the environment, everything is nothing but cognition, consciousness, pure consciousness. And that's why they call it pure, because nothing within the dream could ever taint the mind of the dream. There's a pure cognition there that has the potential to conjure up anything. And it happens in a very clunky way within what they call samsara, within when we don't have clear seeing, we don't see exactly how our mind's making this reality because to us there's a sort of latency in it all. Our thoughts are very, very powerful and creative, particularly when they're aligned with our heart, but also when they're aligned with our emotions. I would call that two different things. When they're aligned with your natural compassion, oh, I feel like they're very capable of being creative and manifesting and all this stuff. But when they're aligned with your emotions, they can be quite powerful too. Uh, for example, I think many people get a lot of money or a lot of possessions because they align their emotions in their sort of thinking mind and then their body, obviously. And so the environment aligns. Um, but you can go either way with that stuff, you know. When we rest in pure awareness, it's all happening sort of naturally as a response, and there's no confusion overlaid. You see. And that gets a little bit deeper. We'll go into more texts, and I can explain uh, and try to help. And then many other teachers out there also doing that. Um, but any comments or questions on that stuff?
No, that was really clear. I wanted to ask you about the awareness for Great Samayas, the list that Yeshe pasted, but I think Yuri had a question. So before I ask you about that, maybe Yuri can ask that question, or I can read it out. They said pointing out instructions question mark.
So what's the question? I can't hear you. You want to try to check in and out again, see if it works? I can't hear anything. Can anybody hear? Okay, thank you. Oh, very good, Yori. Yes, they were. He asked if those were pointing out instructions. Yeah, I was trying to be sneaky about it. Thanks for selling me out, man. Yeah. Now, how'd you know that? How'd you know that they were just like the me and we just had a different discussion than you and I had. So okay, I dropped some hints. Okay, well, the fact that you were able to put those two discussions together is pretty cool, in my opinion. Nice going. Nice job. Hi, Dustin. By the way, I also wanted to let everybody know Jetson is here. Hi, Jetson. Jetson helped me out so much today. Gave me a bunch of food. I couldn't believe how much food was there in those boxes. Really appreciate that. Jetson lives out here on the mesa in the Earthship. Okay. Anybody else have anything they wanted to bring up?
There were the four great Samayas, and Yeshe listed those four great Samayas. They are ineffability, openness, presence, oneness. And this is just grouped. They're not ordered, they're just grouped. So I'll say them again: ineffability, openness, presence, oneness. What are these? Why are they important? And how does one work with these?
Did you asked if the four Samayas were important?
Yeah, why are they important? And how do you work with them? What do they mean? And yeah, maybe some introductory words to the four Samayas.
Okay, sure. Uh, yeah, that's a great question. When I first really got into them, funny, Brandon might not know this, but Brandon first got into them with me, and he asked me a question one day, and I just responded from my heart, like didn't even think about it, just texted back right away, and I've never left that what I told him. I feel like it works so well. You don't still have those, do you? That'd be cool to read those, read that response. But anyway, yeah, Brandon, it might be a pain. It might be a pain in the butt, but that'd be kind of cool. Anyway, um, so what I told him was I'll try to rephrase it again. When you find yourself really caught, no, wait a minute. Let me preface this with they call them samayas. So in a way, it's like guidelines you can keep, like rules, vows almost. But rules is treading into too strict of territory for me. But really, guidelines, samayas. So when you catch yourself, now you've already recognized awareness, and now you're familiarizing with awareness, or maybe you're in a state of effortless abiding. And when you catch yourself conceptualizing about it and really hanging on to those concepts, remember ineffability. And you sort of go back to this I don't know mind, where you're not preoccupied with solutions, existential conclusions, and whatnot. So, at the same time, when you're bogged down into your thinking, it actually feels rigid. It feels tight. It feels closed. So you can remind yourself of openness, open ineffability. When you're caught in the past or the future, or you're over analyzing the present moment, we have to sort of separate those two. Then remember presence. That right now, even all the objects, everything, your mind has a presence to it, pure presence. Just like if the mind of the dreamer were to all of a sudden realize the mind that's having the dream, well, that cognition itself, there would be a presence there. And it wouldn't be located in anything we call the past or the future, or even a present moment. It wouldn't be located in any moment. Even though the dreamer feels like there's time, the time is within the presence of mind. So definitely when your body, when your emotions, when your thoughts are straying away from presence, this may look different for everybody. The objects, the whole thing might have a suchness to it, a presence to it. Um, you may be reminded in various ways of presence, pure presence, and we've gone through a few texts to help us with that, and we'll go through a few more. But then, when you're feeling dualistic, particularly when you have sort of quarrels with some, even an object, it's easy to get mad at your phone or especially the way they type these days. Those horrible keyboards. But yeah, just remember sort of one, this is all mind and really any kind of thing that's impurifying it or corrupting it, then anything that's corrupting it or making it not a pure land, making it not Buddhahood, well, you can always usually find that within your mind. It's a matter of sort of perspective, not how you're thinking about it. Of course, that's very powerful too, how you think about things. But I'm talking about if you're in your awareness, space like awareness, openness, ineffability, pure presence, and oneness, well, certainly that's a different reference point without a reference point. It's empty. You cannot find this cognizance, so they call it emptiness. Completely open and empty. It has the potential for to hold anything, even dinosaurs. Everything. Yeah, skyscrapers, everything. All that is first. It has to be in our mind. I don't think we should speculate on is my mind creating solid reality. Dzogchen says yes, it is. So, but for me, that's we have to be careful with that. Um, we cannot just jump off a cliff and say, "Oh, it's all in my mind." There's a middle way here. You're still quite subscribed to the dream. As long as you really, really believe in the dream, it's gonna feel very real to you. So this is like a time released acid trip here when Dzogchen is slowly coming apart, but staying together too. You can see people's Buddhahood even if they don't see it. That's why a Dzogchenpa doesn't need to get start thinking bad about people. We can still denounce and call things for how they are on a conventional level, but we don't need to see people as bad people. That ideally, in your mind, they'd always be Buddhas, no matter what they're doing or saying. Now, you want to be in the middle. You want to still be able to address things and interact with people, but to begin to see the purity in it, even in the interactions themselves, no matter how they used to fall in your binary judgment system. Really begin to, this story of the horse farmer, right? Where I think everybody's familiar with that. It's sort of like we don't need to judge that this is good or bad. Making sense? Sweet. Two thumbs up that time. Ha.
Horse farmer?
Have you heard that one?
Maybe.
But if you want me to tell it, I'll tell it.
Sure. Thank you.
All right. Well, there's a horse farmer, and he had a couple horses, and one day they ran off, and the neighbors were like, "Oh, that's so bad that your horses ran off. You know, it's terrible." And he says, maybe." The next day, the two horses come back with a whole pack of wild horses. And so now this farmer actually has like 15, 20 horses, you know? And all the neighbors are like, "Oh my God, it's so great. Da 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 da." And he's like, maybe. The next day, his son falls off one of the wild horses and breaks his leg. And the son's like, "Oh, this is so terrible, you know, da, da, da. I can't believe I broke my leg." And again, the farmer says, maybe. Shortly after that incident, the military came looking for people to recruit for the war, and the son could not join because of the broken leg. And on and on and on. You see? I know, I've blown your minds. Mhm. All right. Oh, really? Alan Watts said it. That's my buddy. See, my whites are starting to look like his a little bit, so now he's my buddy. Yeah, and pardon any mistakes. You know, I sort of just told it the best to my recollection. I wonder. Oh, it's called old man lost his horse. Old man lost his horse, but it all turned out for the best. Look, they put in parentheses. This is degenerate times. There's no best. That's the whole point of the story. Oh my goodness. Oh god. People never understand. It says we'll see would be a better. Oh. Well, I mean, to sort of say it all turned out to the best is falling into what the neighbors were saying.
The version that I read had the old man say "we'll see" after the neighbors said whatever they said.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, we'll see. Just kind of back off the whole thing, right?
yeah. Oh, you lost your horse. That's horrible. We'll see. Oh, your son didn't have to go off to war. That's good. We'll see, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anybody have anything else you want to share today? I probably did not get it. I have to always look back at the video. I know I have to go the opposite way. Whew. Okay. Well, might be time to close out. I think he uploads the raw recording, the whole thing. I think he uploads the whole thing, unedited. Mo is unedited. Well, I was gonna do Guru Yoga today, but I suppose we could do it tomorrow. It's fine. Oh, doesn't it go on YouTube, Yeshi? Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. Well, let's do a few Om Mani Padme Hums for the pacification of these wars and for the pacification of aggression. And then after that, we'll do the dedication of merit mantra, okay? And for all the heart mentions too. Oh, Om, Om, And so through this silent sit, Dzogchen sit that we had, and the Dharma talk, which is considered right speech, but the coming together of all these very beautiful hearts, whatever merit that we created, whatever benefit that we have, there are beings in this very presence that are suffering, that are injured, alone, um, sad, depressed. May we give them all the benefit, all the compassion that we got, without exception. Yewa Magen Dodo Konmano. Yewa Magen Dodo Konmano. Yewa Magen Dodo Konmano. And a deep bow to you all, wonderful yogis. Such a privilege and an honor to be here with you in all your authenticity. And all those folks out there watching, yeah, even though I know it's the beginning of our YouTube channel, if you do happen to catch this and you're watching it, also best wishes to you. Okay, so dedicating Mara. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it shouldn't be that difficult to get, um, but I think I can be a little bit more capable once I get the lap. Like I have a laptop, it just needs a hard drive, and then I'll find my mic hopefully. I think everything will be smoother that way too. And I might legitimately go insane from this phone. Just kidding. But man, the latency on it can be really something new. This thing reacts like literally a second after I press the button. And I had an iPhone before that, so it's a little bit different, but that's okay. It's like I'm back in the 90s or early 2000s, you know. We have a little latency. Either way, I'm so thankful that I can join these sits and I have the phone to do it. So I'm not trying to diss on my little phone. I love you, but it's okay. It's okay. So anyway, thank you all so much. I really hope you have a good rest, and and getting some good food and good water, good clean water. Yeah, and see you all maybe next time then. Okay, bye everybody.